Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming out today. We're talking about navigating AI, artificial intelligence, within the student journals. And first, I just wanted to start with a little introduction from everybody. So just please briefly tell us about your journal, what your role is in the journal, and what your favorite part is about working within it.
Hi, my name is Miscikowski. I'm from Hampden-Sydney Journal of Sciences. It's kind of on the name. We do science, anything STEM related that the school does, that's what we do. I am the editor-in-chief. Basically, it means my job is yelling at people. Um, but anyway, basically, I serve, we're only a school of about 800 people. So as you can imagine, I work with a pretty small team. So we don't have too many sub-organizations or committees into a condensed form to publish. And then goals, right?
What's your favorite part?
Oh, just for my probably seeing the final product. I really do enjoy seeing the physical copy come out. It's really cool and just a good experience.
Hi, my name is Fallon. I'm the undergraduate. I'm the representative from the Georgetown Undergraduate Law Review. I'm currently the senior blog editor, so I'm the person in charge of all of the internal and external submissions for our online publication. Usually, these contain short form articles, usually about 3 to 5 pages. We have in-house writers and in-house editors, as well as submissions from people from all across the world in different universities. Oh, and then also my favorite part of the favorite part of the law review, I think, is all of the external submissions that we get and the variety of topics that we cover. Both our in-house writers have very diverse backgrounds. Like, for example, we had a recent D1 athlete who was writing about recent NIL deals and legislation about the NCAA. And so reading about different people's backgrounds and their own take on legal issues is definitely one of my favorite parts of being part of the law review.
Hi, I'm Jonah Causin. I'm from Arché, Boston University's Undergraduate Journal of Philosophy. As the name suggests, we do philosophy. So there are basically two parts of my job, one being the president, one being the editor-in-chief. As president, I do a lot of managing. I'm ensuring that our to-do list is updated and that everyone is on top of their tasks. For my editor-in-chief position, I'm mostly dealing with these submissions in the late stage of the process. So I'm quality checking, I'm working with our formatters when we finish our issues.
I'm Freya Howcroft. I'm also with Arché. I'm currently the VP and I'm the incoming president since we decided to split the EIC and president roles. So at the moment, we're kind of defining what the president does. But I work alongside donors to crowdfund for our publication and then basically assist Jonah in everything to do with the journal. I'd say my favorite part about working with Arché is honestly to engage with philosophy in a way that we don't do in class. Many of our classes are kind of filled with people who are looking to take philosophy for class credit instead of like actually exploring the topics. So it's like wonderful to have that kind of open discussion.
Well, thank you all so much. I'm really looking forward to hearing like your different perspectives because all of your journals are so different. I feel like it'll be really cool to hear like what your thoughts are. So first, I just wanted to ask if AI has contributed to your journal in any way.
So even though I don't actually follow my writers directly when they're doing their research, I don't believe they have. Our school has very strict policies on AI. And also, I can't imagine it would be too terribly helpful to them unless they're maybe writing an introduction or something along those lines, because they still have to do the experiment. Most times they are doing, lab experiments. Even then, and they may have, I would be unaware of that. And unless one of my editors catches it, I probably wouldn't notice. But so far as I can confidently say, no, we have not benefited or used AI in any way.
Yes, similar to Arché, we do not incorporate AI. It's actually very difficult to incorporate AI for philosophy writing because of the confines of the discipline. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's just kind of our general thoughts from Arché. So, anything to add?
Is on. Okay, good. As of right now, no, we do not incorporate AI into our writing or publishing efforts. However, I did get I generally discourage it because generally in the law, like the legal review field, you want to be contributing new things and creative arguments to the field, not just regurgitating things that generative AI may do. However, I did have last week, I actually had an editor send me over an article that used AI to do blue book citations, which is the general the standardized legal way of doing citations. And so that kind of caught me a little bit off guard because I mean, I generally discourage using it. I don't want it in our publication because I think that's showing bad research tactics. And so ended up speaking with the editor and the writer to avoid doing that in the future. And I think it just kind of calls into question making sure that like I was providing enough resources that our editors and writers weren't relying on generative AI, because I don't think necessarily in the writing and editing process, especially with citations and proper like avoiding plagiarism tactics that necessarily should be used. And so that was the first time I ever caught it. I'm the person that reviews all of our online publications before they're uploaded. I do the actual uploading onto our WordPress site. And I never caught it before. I don't think that my writers or editors are using it, but I think there was a little bit of a red flag that some editors may kind of start to be moving away and trying to, I mean, as a student writer and editor, there's going to be a tendency of trying to balance things, and AI may serve as a way of kind of cutting some time, but trying to move forward and not having that be a precedent is something that I want to definitely make sure, and it's the first time that was ever called to my attention.
Thank you. Okay, so next up, I wanted to ask, in terms of like ethics, how do you believe we determine like where the line is, like with what we allow AI to do like on its own? And that can be like anything from like, would you allow it to edit an article on its own, or like, you know, do a review, or like in terms of even writing like its own full like article? What do you think about that?
So at least for me, I would because we deal mostly in science, I would kind of put the line at AI doing research grunt work. If any of you guys are biologists, we use protein databases and gene databases. Those are a pain to comb through. I know AI has actually done a whole lot with simplifying that, so that's perfectly fine. But so far as, you know, doing the actual research, getting into the lab, writing the paper, editing the paper, I would not trust an AI to do that. I hope my editors would not trust an AI to do that, nor my writers. So at the end of the day, I think that, you know, it's a student research journal. If you're not going to do student research, you know, if you're using AI or something like that, you probably shouldn't be publishing with us anyway. Because last time I checked, ChatGPT does not go to my college. So there you go.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think that, like, as I said, especially regarding legal research and the legal field, we want to make sure that we are producing new and inventive arguments. We want to be able to, as a student publishing agency, we want to make sure that we are actually contributing to the field. And so I think that just by using AI in our research, then that's kind of defeating the purpose of having new, fresh perspectives from our students.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that like to be a competitive student journal, especially in philosophy, like when we're focused on critical thought, it doesn't make any sense to like allow AI in at that point. And I think just like we just have to draw the line at some point and say that like we shouldn't be using it. And I think if we are trying to come off as like a professional like student run journal, I don't think people would look kindly on us using AI when like everyone else doesn't. So
I definitely agree. I feel like I completely understand why you would say that. It's like risking like convenience for like what you know is right, like within your heart. I completely understand that. So next up, I just wanted to know, we all know that AI is seen as like to be unethical and unsustainable due to its like impact on the environment and everything. I was wondering if you think that it would be beneficial for us to try and work to a place where it would be more like a benefit, like not okay, sorry. Wanted to know if you would think it would be more beneficial for us to try and tweak it and work on it to make it better, like and actually benefit us, or if you think that it should just be left where it is.
I think AI does belong in some form in journalism, mostly as kind of a secondary editor. Kind of in the way Grammarly is. I don't know if anyone would really consider an AI tool, but I know I would be missing a lot more commas if I didn't use it. But mostly, I think there is a reason to use it. I think we can get it, but I also don't think it should be the end all be all to replace human editors or writers. So yeah.
Yeah, I also agree with that. I think that it can be, I mean, right now it is a little bit, from what I understand, like ChatGPT and more accessible versions of generative AI do make a lot of mistakes, even regarding like the editing process and grammatical mistakes. So I think that like as it stands right now, it probably should not stand in the place of proper editing on our end. But I mean, if it does get, you know, as it is the trajectory is going, it is technically increasing and becoming better. So in a future world where these services are a lot less prone to be making mistakes, possibly, but I mean, I don't really know how that's going to go in the future.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think there's a lot of useful applications for generative AI, like again, similar to Grammarly, checking for mistakes, or even like Google does already for being a search engine. But at this point in time, I just don't think that it's, that good to be using in certain disciplines, especially. So.
Yeah, I also feel like at this point, with the way like students are using it, it's kind of tough to say that we won't end up using it, given that like everyone feels so reliant on it. Like you see people in class and they have like a split screen with ChatGPT on one side. But I also do think that we need to like take into account the environmental implications, and tweaking it would mean we have to find a way to deal with that as well.
Hi, sorry, I'm Emily. Sorry, I came in a little bit late, but I think that ChatGPT, I would agree with everybody else, and other forms of generative AI have been helpful in sort of like doing a first draft or doing like basic research questions. I know we've had people use it to like figure out very specific Blue Book questions, and then obviously you want to cross-check that with other sources. But I think it's a really helpful first draft kind of tool, but it's doesn't get rid of the fact that we need smart people on the other end to be checking it and editing.
Thank you. So I just wanted to ask, I know somebody already mentioned their university's policy, but I just wanted to know like what your university's policy is on AI, if you know, and if that is what's like partially deterring you from like pursuing it yourself.
Yeah. So Hampden-Sydney has a very strict policy on AI. No AI. All your work should be mostly your own. I've only been in one class where they have actually allowed us to use an AI as per the class. Let me tell you, I struggled using ChatGPT for a very long time. I still don't know how exactly to use it. But so far as most classes at Hampden-Sydney go, it's a no-go for AI.
Yeah, from what I understand at Georgetown, it is generally also a case-by-case basis. From what I know, if professors do want you using or like want you using AI, or they're permitting you to use AI on assignments, what I've seen is you have to just put a like basically a note afterward or like a reflection regarding your usage of AI, and also like if you have AI like or like ChatGPT generate any sentences, for example, that's not your own, then citing it as if it were. Like another type of like source, so to avoid plagiarism. That's what I know for sure. I know some professors just completely outright don't allow ChatGPT or AI in their papers, but from what I know, it's case by case basis.
Yes, very similar at Boston University. Again, it really depends on the professor and department. Generally speaking, humanities is like a no-go for humanities. Social sciences, it really depends. I mean, depends on the task that the professor is requesting or the department's requesting. And then for like STEM fields, I mean, some of my roommates are within the STEM field, and some of the professors do allow it, but again, it's only for limited tasks. So.
Yeah, I've definitely seen it used in classes. Like in my medical anthropology course, we were allowed to have like a debate with ChatGPT on certain things, but then we had to do like an analysis of like where they were getting its information from as well. So that was kind of like interesting to get inside the mind of it. But I feel like most of my classes, it's always like if I find out you're using it, there's serious consequences.
I would say my professors, for the most part, I'm a Gov and Econ major, and so they've been pretty like receptive to using AI as a tool when we're working on things. But I think increasingly professors are also asking us to indicate if and how we've used AI on, like, for example, a final paper. In my econ major especially, I found it really useful. And I don't think this is something that professors prohibit. And I know that everyone finds it really useful to use AI as like basically a tutor for like problem sets, or like if you're trying to figure out how something works, it can be really useful in that sense. And I think like in the econ department, I've never heard anyone worry about the use of AI, just because I think with econ, it's very like theoretical anyway. And so you kind of have to know your stuff. And then with like my more like writing based classes, they definitely encourage you to use it as a tool, but not as a replacement for your own work.
Okay, thank you for that. All of your journals being so different, and then all of you having like pretty similar like stances on AI is very interesting to me as well. Sorry. I do want to ask one more question just before we leave, so so we can make sure to leave space for questions. And this one is just not going to be AI based, it's just about your journal specifically. I just want to know what the most important thing that you feel is that you've learned from your journal.
Just good communication. I work with a lot of people. I think this year I've had to talk to like 30 different people, professors, students, writers. I'm probably forgetting more people. I've even had to talk to the media communications director at my school, a bunch of other important people. But the big thing is, make sure you timely communications and staying on top of people. Because one thing I've noticed, especially for college students, is if you don't stay on top of them, they very easily slip out and don't do their work, and you don't get papers from them. So, probably the most important thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say scheduling and like making sure that our writers and editors have a good work-life balance. One thing about being in student publishing is that you are dealing with students, and the work is going to, or like schoolwork is actually going to come first at times. So making sure that you're properly communicating schedules and making sure that people are signing up. We have like a different like, I guess, different timelines for when different articles come out, and making sure they sign up for the right schedule that works for them, so that we're actually able to both have them being productive students, but then also contributing to our journal, is something that I think I've learned most about this process.
Yeah, so what I've learned the most is time move fast, and publication process can move very slowly. So communication is very much key to ensuring that everything is moving efficiently. But at the same time, I think it's very important, especially if you are within a managerial position, to be as accommodative as possible to your fellow editors or whoever's part of your publication. I think, again, the whole work-life balance is very key to ensuring that, you don't upset anyone on the team, and, you are ensuring that they, aren't feeling too overwhelmed by the whole publication process. So
Yeah, definitely on a similar line as you, Jonah, but working with people, which sounds kind of bad, but like I was never in like a managerial role before the journal, and so being able to like manage people in a way that isn't like bossy, and that like is like, we work with a lot of grad students, and so treating them as like they are, like in a hierarchy above us as undergrads, and so you have to respect that and then also work with them. So I've like definitely enjoyed getting to like learn about that dynamic.
I'd say on the same strand, like building individual relationships with people on your staff is one of the best ways I've found to make sure not only that it's like a great environment for everyone to be in, but also that people are like on top of it and that you can reach them if you need to. And it's just like makes it way more fun. Like Fallon and I have gotten to know each other pretty well through Guler, and also through other campus activities. But I think that like, especially on a college campus, working together in any sort of organization, but especially one where like we're pretty like digital sort of operation, and so we don't do a lot of in-person things. We've been trying to increase that, but like as much as you can do like one-on-one meetings or just like get to know people on a personal level, it really helps, and it also just like builds empathy. If something falls through the cracks, like you don't assume the worst of people, so I think that's been a helpful thing to do.
And before we open the floor for questions, I just want to thank all of you for making it out today. I know it's a really busy part in the semester, so we just wanted to thank you for making it out today. So we wanted to open the floor up for any questions that anybody might have.
I think it'd be helpful to know how many, even just outside the panel, but how many in this room's journals have written policies about AI use for peer reviewers and for authors, and if so, how you disseminated that to your reviewers and authors, or whether you just put it on your website.
yeah, that's
This song. Okay. I would say after kind of this like conversation I had with one of my editors last week, or I think it was earlier this week, we don't have a written, I don't think that we have a written thing regarding AI right now. No. But I think moving forward, I'll still be in the same position next year. Emily will be graduating, but working with the new editor in chief and trying to make those kind of expectations more clear moving forward. We have nothing right now, but I think that as it's becoming more like prevalent that there's generative AI being used by students, I think that's just making it clear that we don't want that in our journals moving forward, or like if they're going to use it, then kind of disclose to us how exactly they're going to be using AI, is something that we definitely need to implement.
If I could just add that I know in scholarly publishing and publishing in general, professional publishers are grappling with this, and a lot of them do have it now, but it's it's pretty new thing, for sure. I don't even know if our journal does, I should know that, but do you want to add?
No, I know a lot of journals are working to develop policies for AI use. And there's an organization called the European Association of Science Editors, EAS is the acronym. They recently put out initial like community guidelines, and they based that on getting community feedback. And I know the Committee on Publication Ethics, COPE, they also have kind of preliminary guidelines too. But like John said, I think everybody's trying to figure that out.
Yeah, I was on a panel on this topic last year at SSP, and it's definitely a big thing in all of publishing for sure. Other questions from the audience?
Yes. So I know this panel is on AI, but you all have kind of talked about having like a staffing structure. And I know one or two of you mentioned having an individual relationship, trying to have something like that with all of your staff. So I'm just wondering, especially when you have a larger journal that has more of a hierarchy, what you do as a senior level staff member in the journal to make sure that everyone is included in that community and that you have strong levels of communication at every point in the process.
Yeah, I can start on this. So we actually have like a mentor-mentee program within the journal, that like we match people up and connect them to someone who maybe is like following a similar degree path. Because while we are a philosophy journal, not everyone in the journal is a philosophy student. And so we usually pair people up with someone on our e-board, and that way they can like kind of understand our like general structure. And they always have someone who's like on the higher up level that they can like reach out to. But like honestly, it's like been so nice to talk to some of the like younger people studying philosophy too, and like just like younger students in general.
Yeah, to build off that as well, we also have weekly meetings as well, in-person meetings. So again, we try to, build a relationship with all of our different staff members. And yeah, it's, just a really fun environment as well. Yeah.
I'll add on to that also. We have kind of similar attempts at in-person meetings. We've been definitely like increasing the number of in-person meetings, both like to do work and also just like social events, this year and in past years. But I think we've tried to do like entire publication meetings. We have a staff of like 70, so that's pretty hard to do. So we do like one general body meeting every semester, and then we do smaller meetings with like, we have 3 managing editors, so they'll meet up with their teams. Fallon will meet up with the blog team. And then we'll have just like the pre-law community at Georgetown, kind of people know each other. And so like, if I run into somebody, I'll be like, oh, like, how's everything going? And like, how's your Google article going? And so it just gives you something to talk about. And people kind of just run into each other on campus. So it helps to be in that environment.
So I have a question over here. I'm going to start with a couple base comments that I think will build out my question. So we like to talk about professional publishers. We think of Nature, Lancet, things like those. A lot of those boards are typically run by people who are extremely experienced in their fields, biologists, philosophers, law professors. And so a lot of them probably don't have a lot of knowledge on AI. And so when they go and they read a policy on something like AI, it's fair, I think, to assume that they would say, let's just not use it. I didn't use it when I grew up. Why would you need to use it now? And then we sit down and we think about, do we actually understand what this thing does? It's actually a big black box, but computer scientists are starting to have an understanding of how they produce their output. So from the perspective of a journal, if we're going to talk about pushing literature forward, pushing science forward, and the creation of an AI policy, how do you think you guys, since a lot of you did not mention anything about your computational and technical expertise, when creating such a policy, where are you going to go ask for an understanding of this to have a comprehensive understanding of the do's and don'ts, the abilities and inabilities, and the benefits and drawbacks of AI?
That's a big question. Do you want to answer it? Okay.
I'm a little bit disappointed that the panel doesn't have a thought on this, but I think that the people that you do go to are not your faculty advisors. I would actually implore us as the students to be the ones that break the chains, as it were, and take it into our own hands and say, we are or are not going to use AI, and specify very clear reasons as to the decision, but not necessarily just deferring to the people ahead of us because they grew up in a world where this tool did not exist. And I think it's almost unfair to sit around and wait for them to make that decision for us. But we should be the ones that are making the decision, even if it means going against what they may believe is right.
Very good points. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. If I can just add one thing to that, I would tend to agree with that. Like, especially as a student-run publication, we like to have the latitude to make our own decisions. I think there are a lot of like places we can look for guidance, though. Like, I know even federal regulators are grappling with this issue, and they have put out millions of pages of reports probably about like all the different ways that AI can be used and all the different risks and potential future directions of it, because nobody really knows, or it's hard to tell where exactly it's going. And so I think there are a lot of like experts in the specific field of AI and tech that we can look to, and based on that research, make the decisions for ourselves.
Yeah, I was just going to add a couple things. I do encourage my students to use it, but to use it consciously and use it purposefully. I have a long statement. I'm not going to read it, but I could share it with any of you that I put on my syllabus. But the main thing is to kind of use your mind at the beginning and at the end, and it's kind of iterative. It's not just a one-time thing. So to, think very carefully about prompts, think about carefully about what you get back, think about how you're using it, how you're learning from it, and experiment with it. I guess that's, one thing I encourage my students to do is, create some prompts and use it in various, ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity. I don't know if anybody's tried that one. Claude, try like 4 or 5 of these and see how the responses are different and kind of learn from it. And just don't use it to do your work. That's the main thing. I don't think any of us, and I think a lot of you mentioned this, we don't want to, we're not going to learn just from like, ChatGPT, but using it consciously as part of your research, as part of your writing, I think that's a good thing. And just, keeping the human in the loop at the beginning and the end is the most important thing, I think. I think we maybe are out of time. Yeah. So let's thank our last panel of the day. Thank you very much. This was great. Thank you, Maiya, for moderating.